Hello students, I'm back with another small video which is related to one of the methods of depreciation, and that is straight line method. Straight line method of depreciation. Straight line method of depreciation. Right. Now, this method of the straight line method is also known as fixed depreciation method or equal installment depreciation method. Okay. So these are nothing but the synonyms. I mean, straight line method, fixed depreciation method, equal installment depreciation method. Everything is same and the meaning is same, right? Now, first of all, let us understand the meaning of depreciation. Correct. Now, what is depreciation? I bought an asset today. I bought an asset today worth, let's say, 50,000. Right. This is an asset for me. Now, I will be using this asset not only in the year in which I have bought it, but I'll be using it for a long period of time. Long period of time, let's say the entity expects it to use it for 5 years, right? So what do you think? Is it a good practice to charge the entire amount of 50,000 in the same year in which it is bought, even though it is evident that it will be providing service or it will be used by the entity for the next 5 years? Correct. So it violates uh, another accounting concept, which is the matching concept, right? Because matching concept says that expenses public sales for a particular period should match. Now, this machine will be used in the next year for production, correct? And that produced or manufactured good would be sold. So it will generate sales for the entity next year. Then how can I charge the entire 50,000 rupees in the year in which it is bought, even though it is going to provide or generate revenue for the entity in the next 5 years, right? So that's the reason I'll be charging a portion of the cost of the asset over a period of 5 years in the books of accounts. And that portion which I'm going to charge in the books, that is called as depreciation. Now, 50,000 is a expenditure, public cost, right? The portion which is transferred to the profit and loss as depreciation will be called expense. 50,000 is not expense. The depreciation which will be charged to the profit and loss account every year for 5 years, that will be called as expense, right? Now come to straight line method. Straight line. As the name suggests, it is like a straight line. I mean, uniform amount of depreciation every year. It is one of the most easiest uh, methods of depreciation because you only need few variables to calculate the amount, and the depreciation charged each year. And when I say each year, it means the during the useful life of the asset will remain same, right? The depreciation amount each year will remain same. Now, what are the variables we need for calculating the straight line depreciation amount? The first thing is Cost of the asset, right? Let's say I bought an asset for 50,000. The entity will have to estimate the useful life. I mean, let's say I bought a computer today and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I can use this, or this computer can be useful to me for the next 5 years. So similar way, the management of the entity has to estimate the useful life of the asset. Let let's say it turned out to be 5 years. And there is another word called salvage value or scrap value. Let's say 10,000. Now this value is an expectation. After 5 years, it can be possible that the entity can only fetch 8,000 or the entity can fetch 12,000. It is just an expectation, just an expected amount which the entity feels. Okay, if after 5 years I sell this asset, I may fetch 10,000. But this is just an expectation. In reality, they may fetch 8,000, I mean, the less than 10,000, or maybe more than 10,000, right? That's purely an expectation. Now, to calculate the depreciation per year, right? The formula will be cost minus salvage value divided by estimated useful life, which in our case becomes 50,000 minus 10,000 by 5, which comes to 8,000 rupees every year. So depreciation amount per annum will be rupees 8,000. Now you see, per annum the depreciation amount is 8,000. It means at the end of 5 years, at the end of 5 years, the book value of asset in the books will be 50 minus 40, 10, which is equal to the scrap value. Now, if this is sold for 10,000, then there is no profit and no loss for the entity. If it's sold for 8,000, then there is a loss of 2,000. And if it is sold for 12,000, then there is a profit of 2,000, right? So this is what SLM is: uniform amount of depreciation every year, consistent amount. Every year, the same amount will be charged to the profit and loss account, right? Consistent, same amount every year, right? Now, obviously, I mean, if there is no salvage value, no scrap value, then this amount will become zero. But in this case, because we had 10,000 rupees, we have included 10,000, right? It is just an expectation. It is just an expected value. It is just an estimated useful life. Okay, it's an estimate by the management or the entity or the business owner that I can use the asset for, let's say, 5 years or 3 years or 4 years, whatever, right?